Hey y'all, here I am, Dr. Stacey. Hashtag the doc is in. I think I'll give people a few minutes to join us. I'm a little late. I said 5:30ish, but other things arose, other duties, if you will, and so here we go. Yep, here we go. If you're here, wave your hand and let me know that you've joined me today. That would be great. It's always this awkwardness about, are people going to come to my party? Um, and maybe not, because people are busy and they have their lives and they can watch it later. Okay, I'm just going to get going. So I promised that I would maybe try to take a stab today at privilege and the concept of white privilege, and to try to kind of unpack it in a way to help people to understand uh, what the concept really means and how it is not connected to social class. So, privilege is a set of, and I'm actually going to read it, special provisions, assurances, tools, maps, guides, code book, passports, visa, clothes, compass, emergency gear that people get. It's like a knapsack full of those things, or a backpack full of those things. That they are the goodies that people get that are unearned, and things that folks don't have to worry about because they belong to a specific social identity group. So let me give you an example. And we're talking about unearned goodies, not the earned goodies. I have a PhD that I worked very hard for. And there are some privileges that come with that. There's some stability as it relates to jobs. There, and it's quote unquote, there is money that comes along with it. There's little baby status that comes along with it. But that privilege I actually earned. I am African American, female. I am Christian. I am middle class. I am mostly able bodied. I am cisgendered. And I am heterosexual. Now, when I name those 7 areas of how I identify, there are some areas that I don't have privilege, and there are areas that I do have privilege. As a Christian in America, I never have to take off my big days. That Christmas and Easter are the 2 biggies for us. I'm not working, period. I don't even have to worry about taking off the day that I worship predominantly. That I can talk about my identity and not have it be scrutinized, or there's no fear of when I'm flying that I'm going to be targeted because of my faith identity. I'm heterosexual. I never have to worry about walking down the street with my husband and somebody having a reaction to if he grabs my hand or we kiss or whatever the case may be. That's privilege. It's unearned. I haven't done anything to deserve that. I have socioeconomic privilege. I am pretty solidly middle class, and that certainly has been highlighted well for me in this COVID season that I'm employed. I'm still working from home. I actually have an office at home. There's Wi-Fi. I have good health care, and so that is also an area where I hold privilege. Now, an area that I don't necessarily hold privilege is being female. And so men would have privilege because they never quite, they make more money. That's documented. And they are not necessarily seen as the weaker vessel. That there's a whole rape culture that goes along with being a woman. And in fact, women are often likely to be afraid to walk to their car at night in the dark, or those kind of, that they're constantly kind of scanning the environment to make sure that they're okay and that they are not the victim of some type of violence. Men don't worry about that in the same way that women worry about that. And so that's another, hey Lisa, that's another way that male privilege works out. Now, I am also African American, and that makes me target, and that is not an area where I do have privilege at all. Now, privilege is not connected to social class, it's about the goodies, if you will, or the unearned goodies. So let me give you a few examples of white privilege that oftentimes, and I'll just read the survey that Previ McIntosh, whose seminal work around white privilege still it resonates today. I can arrange to be in the company of people of my race most of the time. That would be a no for me. I can go shopping alone most of the time and pretty well assured that I would not be followed or harassed. That would be a no for me. When I am told about our national heritage or civilization, I am shown people of my color made the country where what it currently is. That would be a no for me. When we talk about the history of America, are we talking about the history of my people? Are we talking about the history of America? Oftentimes, slavery is a tack on, but that's not the totality, and maybe a little bit of the civil rights movement. Kind of like these are the highlights, um, but but typically, the history is mostly about white people, so you can be assured that your history is a part of that. Can I be late to a meeting without lateness impacting how I reflect on my race? No. I've also been asked to speak on behalf of my racial group. That's another way that white privilege plays out. Even the pictures of Jesus, my Lord and Savior, are white. That typically you can be assured it typically is an anomaly that people have pictures of truly what Jesus looked like in their church. And so nobody's accusing anybody of anything by noting that some groups have more privilege than others. It just is a fact. And there's nothing that you have done that that you've done wrong that by having that privilege, because again it's unearned. And oftentimes one of the things that's also very that privilege is so insidious or pervasive that oftentimes people who have privilege don't know that it's there, because it's like air that you don't even have to think about it because you have the privilege of not having to think about it. Or maybe you don't worry that if your son gets pulled over by the police that he may be violently murdered. Like that I worry about. I worry about my husband in this community. I mean, a couple weeks ago, he wanted to go put his cakes in a refrigerator late at night at the commercial kitchen space that we rent, and I was afraid for him to go because I'm thinking, oh, somebody's going to see you, and this is right around the George Floyd thing. Oh, somebody's going to see you as a burglar, and they're just going to kill you. That is being targeted, and if you've never had to worry about that in that way, you may worry about your children or worried about them being out. That is probably privilege. You want to know more about privilege? There is a great video in the MTV Decoded series by Francesca Ramsey that really explains privilege very nicely in a 5-minute video. And then, of course, the Peggy McIntosh article, Unpacking the Knapsack. One more time. Unpacking the Knapsack. All right, folks. So that's my 2 cents. Feel free to comment. I'm good with that. Happy weekend. I'm going to go get my weekend started right now. Cook a little dinner for my family. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. Bye.